Well, hello everybody and welcome back to John's Workshop, and in this video we're going to be making some table hold down clamps for the shaper effectively. So these are these are inspired by a channel called Artesian Makes. So I've seen him make a simple version of a commercially available item which are quite complex to make. So I'm going to follow the simple version, but I'm going to adapt the design slightly. They're basically split clamps, so you have a fixed element and a moving element, a bit like a vice jaw that works on a dovetail. So something a bit interesting, and when they work, not only do they clamp the part in place up against something like a vice jaw closing, but they also pull down towards the table as well, so you're getting two actions with it. As I say at the bottom, they're for the shaper, so I'm going to make a set for the shaper initially, and if they're successful I might make a slightly bigger set for the milling machine and buy the shaper. So time to dust the shaper off and have a bit of a play with that again, and who doesn't like a bit of shaper action? So without any more fuss, I will get some steel cut off and I'll join you at the shaper as we make a start on these simple table clamps. Okay, so we've got some stock cut off. So we've got two lengths of hot rolled 25mm or 1 inch square by about 85mm long, which is about 3 1/4 inches, something like that. So we're just going to drop them in one at a time onto the parallels with our copper wire while we get these squared up. And use my torque wrench for tightening. If you don't know why, go and watch my video, all vices are made of rubber. So I'm going to get a tool set up in here now and we'll start cleaning these up. Okay, we're now going to put the surface we've just machined up against our fixed jaw, and we're going to use our copper wire again to make sure we're squaring the block up properly. The same thing again, we're just going to machine this face now. Okay, we've got both blocks roughed out now on 3 sides. I've still got one mill scale side, which is what we're doing just for now. So we're going to drop these back in, and we're now going to go on to the shear tool and finish machine those 3 sides. Bring that down and touch on. So I've chopped my two lengths in half, so I've now got 4 bits, and we're now going to use my angle set. If you've not seen that, go back and check my last video out. And firstly we're going to use it for just setting squareness. So I've got this set to 90 degrees, and I can hear a positive location on the dowel for square. And what that will give me now is, when I set my shaper up to machine the ends of these blocks, because I'm pushing up against my dowels as well as giving me 90 degrees, it's also setting the position in the vise so that all the blocks go to the same position, meaning my ram stroke is correct for each part. So what we're going to do now is clean up one face square on all these parts. Okay, so when we've machined these up, we've machined 3 sides on all of them, and I've still got one side which is got the mill scale on that we've not touched yet, and I've obviously machined both ends on each. So what I want to do now is machine a 10-degree taper on this side that's got the mill scale on it. So we're going to use the angle set. If you don't know what that is, again, go and check my last video out. I'm keen to try a few things with this and see how good it is. So we're going to drop our angle set in. Now I should have put the pins in first, but doesn't matter, we can do that here. So I'm going to need a pin in the datum hole, so we'll pop that in. I'm going to need a pin in the right hand support hole. I'm going to need a pin in my 10-degree hole, and I'm now going to drop a parallel on there, and we'll see how this lines up in terms of being able to machine this. That looks fine. What I'm also going to do is drop a pin in this hole, which will act as a vice stop almost for the part, or the parts, so that I'm machining multiple parts at this setup. If I put this pin in the front, once I get my ram stroke and everything set, it just means every block's going to go in the vice at the same position. So another use I've just found for the angle set. So there we go, that's got us set up at 10 degrees. So I'll just get my ram and everything set, and then we'll bring you back when we're starting to put this 10-degree face on the top of the block. Okay, so we've moved over to the mill. I've brought the angle set over. I've got it set up exactly the same as it was set on the shaper for my 10° angle. What we're going to do now is clean this face up. We're then going to slot it through the centre, and we're then going to put a dovetail cutter in and put our female dovetail into this first block. Okay, there's our first side done. So that's our first female part of the clamp. So we've got our dovetail put into there now, all on our 10° angle. So I'll get the other one done the same, and then I'll bring you back when we're doing the two male mating dovetails. Okay, that's got our two sets done. So we've got our fixed and moving jaws on the dovetails all done on both sets. Fit together very nicely. So next job now is some holes for hardware for clamping the fixed jaw and the moving jaw down to the table, and then I've got some holes to drill and tap in the front face of both the moving jaws for a gauge plate face that we're now about to make to stick on the front, because this is only soft material and I want something harder faced to actually clamp onto the work. So I'll bring you back when we're doing some of that. Okay, I've cut 2 bits of ground flat stock which I've owned since about 1989, and that's why it looks like that, and these will become the hard face jaws for the clamps. So I'm going to get on now, just block these out to size. I'm not going to show that, it's just a bit of basic milling. Get these blocked out to the right size, shape, and then I'll bring you back. I'm going to drill and can sink 2 holes in both, then we're going to harden and temper them, and then we're going to put them up on the surface grinder and clean both the faces up so they're nice and parallel. So I'll bring you back when we're doing some of that. There we go, that's got our 2 hard jaws hardened and tempered. So we've got a nice straw colour after tempering. So we've tempered in our tempering tin. Spaghetti. And we'll just test the hardness. 63 Rockwell, perfect. Okay, we've got our bits finished off. So off camera I've chemically blacked the steel pieces, and we've obviously, you've seen me grind the jaws. We fasten the jaws on so they're all nicely put together, and you can see how they work on the dovetail. As that clamp, the front clamp there, comes down, it obviously comes down and also moves forward because of the 10-degree angle on the dovetail. So they're complete, so we'll just have a play and see whether they work. So I've put a rail on. Let's assume I've got something like this that I want to clamp straight to the table, not using a vise. So I've got a screw to drop in here. So what should happen is we lift the front jaw slightly, push it up against the block, nip the back one in place to hold the clamp, and then as I tighten the front one, it's going to press down towards the table and also forwards towards the rail to grip the part. And that's not going anywhere. So you can see how they work. If you want access to the whole of a top surface on a piece of plate and you want it down to the table, let's say this was much taller and I'd not got enough room to get my vise on and the part, this is a good way of clamping things straight down to the table and not having the vise to worry about. Obviously I've not clocked this front bar, this is for demonstration, but if you wanted squareness you'd clock your front bar to your axis, whether it's on a mill or on a shaper, and then you just clamp in using the dovetail clamps. I'm really happy with them. And then when you're done, just slacken both bolts off and slide your clamp out of the way. And having hardened jaws on the front, obviously same as what you've got in a vise on a milling machine, they're not going to wear, and that's the difference between what I've done and what I saw Artesian makes do. He'd left his clamps in a soft condition, and obviously with the movement of down and forward, it will scuff that front face up eventually, but with these hardened jaw faces on, that's not going to happen. So happy with those, they work a treat, and looking forward to using those at some point on the shaper. And if I'm really pleased with them, what we'll do is we'll make another setup, slightly bigger hardware for the milling machine. So there we go, that's got to the end of our machine table clamps, sometimes called toe clamps, got a variety of names. So happy with those, enjoyed making those, and a bit more armoury in the toolkit for if I've got something to grip on the shaper that is too tall to go in the vise, or I want to get to the full flat surface or whatever, then I've now got options with those two clamps. I can clamp up against the rail at the front and gives me another option for clamping. So nice and simple make, really. There's quite a lot of machining involved to get to that point, but I could have gone quicker probably by blocking out on the mill rather than the shaper, but I enjoy using the shaper, so that was good fun. And yeah, they've turned out well, I think. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Thank you to the subscribers and the new subscribers, and we'll catch you all very soon on another video when we'll be making something else.